Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Kelman Explores. Today I want to talk to you about my review, my experience on the MSC World Europa. Now the MSC World Europa is MSC's brand, or MSC Cruises' largest ship to date. It is an LNG powered ship, and it also is powered by a fuel cell. So it is one of the greenest cruise ships out there. It is actually the first big cruise ship to install fuel cell technology to help run the ship systems. The MSC World Europa is also going to be joined by 3 more sister ships. I've heard 2024, 2025, and 2027. So far we do know of 2, or I do. The MSC World America, which will be debuting in America, and it just announced that it will have some interesting entertainment or activities. The over-the-ship swing that you can kind of get in. Looks like 3 to 6 people at a time and swing off the ship and hang, whatever, if you're into that. Pretty thrilling. Its 3rd ship in the world class will be the MSC World Asia. Now the MSC World Europa weighs in just over 215,000 gross tons, making it a rather heavy, large super mega ship. It is 333.33 meters long, or 1,093 feet and 6 inches long, making it pretty long. It is 68 meters high, or 233 feet 1 inch high. It has 22 decks, but really deck 17 and deck 13 do not exist. But it's not really 22 stories above water, but that's just part of the cruising stuff. Count the decks. I believe there is 20 public decks, or 19 or something like that. Now MSC debuted December 20th of 2022, and its first duty as a cruise ship was to become a hotel ship for the FIFA World Cup 2022. This was right as the pandemic was kind of over, but they needed to accommodate so many people. That was its first duty, making it pretty unique, and that was in Doha, Qatar. Some of you may remember those headlines. That was actually very good promotion for the MSC Cruises brand to get the World Europa's name out there. That's one of the ways we found out about it. Now the MSC World Europa was our 3rd MSC cruise to date. We have been on the MSC Meraviglia a couple years back. Just before the World Europa, we were on the MSC Euribia, which was actually their newest ship, and it is in the Meraviglia Plus class. So it's a little bit larger than the Meraviglia, but a little bit smaller than the World Europa. Kind of confusing, but it fits somewhere right in between those ships. So we kind of got to do a cool kind of trifecta of ships there with MSC brand. I will say that the MSC brand is kind of growing on me. After my first cruise on the Meraviglia, I was not that impressed with the brand. The only thing that impressed me was their price point, which I will say even the World Europa has a very good opening price point. They get you on board the ship in a fairly nice room with fairly okay amenities and okay food. So that is one great thing about MSC. I can't think of any other brand that can offer such competitive rates with no loyalty involved. They also offer a one-time status match with any loyalty, even hotel chains. So look into that. If you have high loyalty somewhere, you may start your first MSC ship at their top tier and enjoy a far wider range of amenities and perks. I will also say that I have never sailed in the Yacht Club, which is the ship within a ship concept with MSC Cruises, and it has just been a little too expensive, although researching it is one of the lower end ship within a ship scenarios. So you get a suite, you get a butler, you get better rooms, better food, better service, and VIP treatment pretty much throughout the ship, including your elevator service. You can override the elevator with your room card or wristband and bypass everybody else's stop to go to yours. It's something like that. Look into it. It's pretty cool, but also pretty evil if you think about it, if there's people waiting on elevators. I will say overall, I'm going to rate the MSC World Europa probably about a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. And mainly the only thing that made it go down was a few aspects about the ship itself and the food. The food is the loser in all of this. Everything else was okay, or actually exceptional. I will say, let's start off with the ship itself. The ship is still brand new looking. It has very good flow. There's centralized locations that have all the food and entertainment venues, such as the World Promenade, which is on the back or the aft of the ship. And it's very similar to another brand's aft of ship, where there's a lot of things to do. There's a light show in the evening, and there's a few places to eat, a few shops, as well as an ice cream or a Sweet Temptations location that has a lot of desserts. There's also a dry slide, the Venom Drop, that goes from deck 20 down to deck 8. It is fun, but it's pretty much a one and done. What is cool is it is included, so it's not an extra charge, but you will see that looks very similar to another brand out there and what they've been doing with their mega ships in the Oasis class. Overall, though, the ship is beautiful. Another favorite spot of mine was, of course, the main World Galleria, which is kind of like the promenade area on other ships. Whereas on World Europa, they call the promenade the aft, the open area in the back. Other than that, the ship is like pretty standard in my opinion. They have very cool features with the buffet, it being 2 stories, but honestly, I didn't understand why it was 2 stories. It had just very strange opening times, like one buffet would open up at 6:30, one at 7, and then the other day they would switch the time. So maybe to keep people guessing and to not all back up into one buffet and pile up in the corridors, I don't really know. The buffet is pretty neat. It is laid out very long, and it pretty much is the top deck in the aft, the 2 top decks before the open deck. And there's a cool glass bridge that connects them on either side. So it's shaped like a U basically. So this is the end of the ship here, and it's 2 stories like that, and it's pretty cool. But honestly, it didn't make sense why it was so big, because a lot of times the food stations weren't all open, and maybe it's just if it's a sold out ship, which I assumed ours was because there were so many people, and maybe they open up all the food stations and the seating becomes available as well. But it just seemed like a very big space and not a lot always going on there besides the packed areas by the pizza and the main areas. Overall, though, the ship is new, it's beautiful, it's well maintained, but I do think some of the designs are a little off and maybe look a little cheap upon closer inspection. Some of the dining rooms that we toured, we only went to our dining room once, and actually I think ours was one of the better looking ones as it overlooks the World Galleria, and we were up on deck 8 and we could kind of look down and see the stuff happening below us, as well as there was an inside room of our dining room, and it looked well designed. Ours was called Les Dunes, or Les Dunes, I believe. There were some other ones though. For instance, one of the main dining rooms, like the big ones, I think on deck 7 or deck 5 or 6 anyway, it was called Bubbles, and it just seemed designed very 80s and 90s for being in 2024, in my opinion. I wasn't that impressed with that. We didn't actually dine there. We ate most of our meals in the buffet. But overall, the ship's design, I think, is about an 8 out of 10. It is beautiful. There's a lot of cool amenities, especially if you're a family or a younger person. They have a cool sports area. It's all climatized, and they have outdoor activities as well as outdoor water slides for people, but it was pretty cold when we went, so those weren't being utilized. MSC does heat all their pools to about 77 degrees Fahrenheit, which is nice, but that's still a little too chilly, but it's better than nothing. And of course, they do have their hot tubs and their interior, their inside pool in their Serenity area, or whatever you would call that. I'm going to talk about the staterooms. I will say our stateroom was unique because it was an ADA room. It was pretty cool. It was a weird layout, but it makes sense if you did have to have a lot of stuff or equipment with you. There was ramps and stuff involved, and what was nice was the bathroom was a level surface with the rest of the room, so there was no trip or anything, any hazard there or any step up. I will say we did have an issue in our room, and it did flood pretty bad, but they got it cleaned up very quickly, and I was actually impressed with how quick they seemed to get it clean. Our shower drain was not draining, and the shower was overflowing because everything's level into the carpeted room. Our balcony was very nice. It was very long, but honestly, I think they were just making it long because they had the available space. There was really not much function to it because there was so much lounging chairs and stuff that you couldn't really easily walk through it, but it did offer very private area to just sit in away from the sun in the opening if you wanted to, sit in private, or you could lean out and see pretty much everything that's going on next to next to you or out in the water in front of you. The room was nice for the price point that we paid. I will say MSC, I think, offers again the best opening price point to get a room, especially a balcony room in the Mediterranean. We paid about $1,200 for both of us, and at the time I think we were the entry level in the loyalty program. Actually, no, we were silver, I believe. We probably got a $15 discount off the room, so the rooms are very affordable. I was very impressed with what the money got us, whereas on equivalent brands to get a balcony room in the Mediterranean during that time frame were about double that price for both of us. So that's why, one of the reasons why we always seem to choose MSC when we have is because of the price point. We cannot beat it. So overall, the staterooms, I give a 10 out of 10 for the price point. You can't beat it. Sure, some of the designs I don't really like. It was a little mauve-y in there, or it can be easily dated, I believe. It's not quite modern enough for being such a new ship, but everything was in working condition and it was new, and it was a pretty good room for the price. I can't fault it, really. Even with the flooding issue, they fixed it ASAP. So let's go to the staff and crew. I will say that MSC brands, MSC Cruises, in my opinion, have some of the meanest security team. Now take that as a compliment or not a compliment. That it's the only cruise brand where I've really felt like I was always doing something wrong as I was entering or leaving the ship, debarking and embarking onto the ship. Very stern faces and next, and maybe it's just a European thing, but nobody else in Europe acted like that, and none of the other staff did. I will say, after just being on another brand recently and really seeing security people look you in the eye, greet you by name, and always have a pleasant face on, whether it's real or not, I will say that it was night and day for sure. Everybody else though on the MSC World Europa and MSC in general seems to be pretty nice. They really are sticklers for their rules though. Not that I like to break rules, but sometimes you can show up a little early for your reservation and they really make you stand out and wait till it's your time. I'm talking 2-3 minutes. We did show up for the steakhouse and we were about 5 minutes early, and they made us wait out until exactly the time, and then they made us sit down, and the restaurant was pretty empty. Not a big deal. I just found that kind of strange, whereas other brands will just let you go and sit down no matter if you're a little early or late, and they don't make it such, they don't really point out that you're early or late, whereas we were told, oh, you're early, please wait out here until your time. So I was like, okay. It's just different. It's very different. Everybody else though on the ship, for instance, the customer service we did with our issue with the flooding and whatnot, they were really nice, and they gave us gifts because we did also offer to give up our room since it was an ADA room. We didn't really need that, even though we loved it. The balcony size alone was awesome. I think his name is Malik. He gave us a gift and he said thank you, that very few people have ever done anything like that and offered to vacate a room for somebody in need. And I found that very refreshing with MSC brand especially. He seems like somebody who should be training multiple areas of the ship and or brand, at least on other ships that we've experienced with MSC. He was definitely refreshing with MSC's customer service and made us really enjoy our cruise that much more. Our dining staff and the buffet, all the bar service, the casino staff, every person we encountered, pretty much they were great. I will say probably the best person was our room steward. This was the first time on MSC that we actually encountered our room steward, and he introduced himself right away, and he gave us his card and said, if you need anything, please contact me. Our other 2 sailings with MSC, we didn't even really know who our room steward was. There was a card in there, but it was never the person that came, and they never really said anything, or it's just different. I assume that's how MSC operated until the World Europa. Our room steward made it a point to really introduce himself and say he's available anytime, and I found that also refreshing, and it helps kind of give this rating a higher number, even though I'm not sure if I'm going to go on MSC anytime soon, not to fault it, but I have so many things planned this year, and it's kind of like my least interest right now, just based on everything I've experienced, mainly the food. I will say also the ports that they visited were very awesome. That's probably why it also got a high mark, the cruise, or higher mark than it should. The ports in the Mediterranean were awesome. I really loved Malta, but I loved every port we went to, and it was very unique, and we've never seen stuff like that. And I think their shore excursion and their shuttle system is pretty functional and works great. MSC does charge you for a shuttle though to the main area of town from the port, whereas some other brands it's included, so that's something to note. It's not much, usually about $15 a person, but it's just another way to incur that cruise fare and get your money from getting you on the ship so cheaply. I will say entertainment is my next thing to talk about. Entertainment overall overall is okay. We didn't really do much on MSC World Europa, having just seen everything on MSC Euribia. I will say some of the shows sounded interesting, but also some of them did not sound interesting. And we did miss out on a lot, but as far as their live music and stuff we saw, it was okay. I will say it's not better than the other brands right now that I've seen recently. We'll get the job done, and their theater is okay, but I really don't like the MSC style theater, which is just this new, a lot of cruise brands are adopting that, just the stadium seating like a big movie theater. I do like the 2-level with the mezzanine, and I love that style of theater, and it's refreshing to see some brands still embracing that. But overall, the entertainment and the activities on board, like the trivia and stuff, they're okay. I will say that's probably like a 5 out of 10 though. I wasn't impressed, and there seemed to be not that much stuff going on that didn't involve shopping or a seminar about shopping. And maybe because the weather was kind of gloomy most of the time, so they couldn't really do anything on the pool side. A lot of the stuff was held inside, and it was very much an older crowd that attended. None of the younger groups or families attended because it was kind of like, trivia again, or there wasn't a lot of like crowd work done, in my opinion, on MSC World Europa from the entertainment staff to like get everybody like, yeah, let's have a great day, compared to other brands especially. But overall, I give it a 5 out of 10, and it's not a deal breaker, but it's just not the best. It's not the worst, it's not the best, it's okay. The last, and I'm going to keep this as brief as possible, is the food. I will say I have never had such disappointing food as I have on MSC, and every time I think it's going to get better. The one shining point was our main dining room. We went once, and it was actually really good. Everything I order tasted good, and it looked good, whereas on other previous attempts the buffet has been the only time I found good things. I will say this time though, on MSC World Europa, the buffet did fail a few times. The pizza I felt was always too soggy, and not a oily or a lot of cheese soggy. I'm talking like damp with moisture soggy, like ice crystals melted on it or something. And I was not happy with it. I didn't really eat it all, and I usually eat all my pizza. The food in the buffet visually didn't always look good, and always you could tell it looked very processed. Some of the vegetables, especially the side dishes, looked like it was just opened from a bag, like something I cooked. And that's usually not what I see on a cruise brand at all. In fact, it looks like almost they prep everything and grow everything. On most cruise ships, when I look at it, it looks like a chef's hand has touched it. On here, it looked like it was kind of left to new people to prepare. I will say overall, though, there is a lot of options with MSC, and I think they do a good job with the vegan and the vegetarian side of things, if that's what you are. They have a very vast salad bar in the buffet and many options to kind of make your own thing. But as far as the already prepped stuff, I wasn't a big fan. Every once in a while there was good items, but it was very hard to like get them all the time, and they weren't consistent, and we never really knew what was going on and which buffet to go to, because sometimes it was specialty dining. It was very different. I just haven't seen that. So overall, I give the food like a 4 out of 10, and that's probably one of the lowest things I've ever rated. I don't really have an official rating, but I just really want people to know I'm not a picky person, and I ate all my stuff. I never sent anything back, or I didn't eat everything if it tasted bad. Where they're really faulted at is the visual representation and the consistencies of things. The flavor is okay, but the way things looked and were just displayed, it just looked off. Some of their displays, you know how the buffet will make a nice display like fish on ice. Some of the stuff looked like it had been expired, in my opinion. I didn't smell anything, luckily, but it just didn't look appealing. I just don't know if it's just something I'm used to. Maybe the American brands are just different, and maybe it's just me. Food is very important, and one of the main reasons why people like to cruise, especially me. And knowing that at any time of the day you could just have a great meal somewhere, even if it's just an included meal. That's one of the reasons why I cruise, obviously. I was very disappointed with the food on MSC World Europa, and I will say the MSC Euribia had better food in the buffet. I'm not sure why. They just seem to have, maybe because they are the newest ship, the budget is still allowing for slightly elevated food. But MSC World Europa, I was not impressed with the food. I will say the dining room was good, but we only went one night out of 7 nights. We didn't even go to the dining room for breakfast. The breakfast, it's hard to mess up breakfast, so there was still plenty of options. I will say breakfast in the buffet was okay. No issues. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Would I sail on MSC brand again? Yes, but it would have to be a very unique itinerary or like rock bottom prices. I have too many things coming up, and honestly, I just wasn't impressed with anything except for the way the ship looked. A few of the staff members, especially in customer service and my stateroom steward, and anyone who served you or you asked a question to, they were really nice. The security team, I'm not sure if that's just standard operating procedure in Europe Europe, but they were just very, it seemed almost like, huh, go, next. Very like, not want like permanent wrinkles here. No cracking of smiles or hello, have a good day, anything, at least with me. And maybe it's they were on high alert. I don't know. I was not impressed with that. And I don't like being made to feel like I'm doing something wrong. I'm just trying to get back on the ship or get off the ship. But what do you think about MSC? Have you sailed on MSC Cruises or MSC World Europa? We all know Ben and David, and they had that issue recently with MSC World Europa, the ship we were on. We were there actually a few weeks before they sailed. I'm just taking forever to get this content out. It's interesting how MSC is trying to, I do respect that, how they're trying to clean this up and now utilizing Ben and David to help make rules about filming. Because I filmed with this device right here. I walked around and I was filming. I'm just not a big name and I wasn't in the yacht club. And I think that's why they had issues, was they went through the yacht club and there was somebody in there, probably a rich person who didn't want to be seen or who knows what. They probably thought they were trying to look at them and they don't even know who you are. Calm down, person. But I will say the way that they handled it on board was horrible with Ben and David, and I do agree with everything they did and said. Ben and David, when they left early, they left at the next port and said, well, there's nothing we can do then because this is our job. This is how we make our living. If we can't tour the ship or even take photos, what do we've seen it. We've seen enough. And they were actually giving good remarks because they were in the yacht club and they said the food and service were great until this issue they had with filming. A lot of people ask me when I'm on lives, how do I feel? And I tell them the truth. I honestly don't waste your time going on MSC too much. I don't want to talk too bad. Try it out for yourself. Let me know if you've tried it. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.